Vikings.
Cerulean Fall is the final... Oh, no. Is it a final map? I don't know. Is the next map in this series. So it's one apiece. And, best of 3. So it definitely is the final map. No spoilers. Let's hide that. Let's get the names of the people playing. It's Goose, it's Luke, and of course the production tab so that we can see what they're building at all times. This guy's coming out. Last game, an early worker did come across, built some cannons. Not sure that they achieved much, but sometimes you don't actually have to do economic damage or material damage to have an effect. Sometimes just the panic, the fear-mongering that people get when they go, oh no, I'm being cannon rushed. Quite often that can elicit an overreaction. And there's plenty of times on ladder you'll have Protoss players drop a pylon with no intention of cannon rushing whatsoever, just in the hope that their opponent overreacts to it and pulls all of their workers to kill it. Stuff like that. So, it may have had a psychological effect, but it didn't really achieve anything material. The complete wall off from Goose is going to prevent any sort of scouting. On this map, he is going to have to expand out the front before too long. So... arguably a cannon rush on this map is all the more effective, and there's some reasonably good positions. There's a nice open space here where you can build cannons and then get sight of the high ground. Up in here you can get a similar sort of effect and work your way across toward the ramp. But no matter, I don't think we are going to see cannons because we've got this rather early Nexus. That is a good fast expo. So Gateway Nexus is a nice build. More commonly you see like the double Gateway Nexus, just in case, the kind of second gateway as a safety blanket. So if you had to, you could chrono out 2 zealots to fend off something weird. But actually against Terran, I think Gateway Nexus isn't such a bad build at all. Lining up for the gas and everything looking really remarkably normal, except for there isn't a side core here. Side core. Where's the side core, dude? Where's the pylon? I don't know. Luke appears to have stepped out for a moment. He's just leaving his base on autopilot. Maybe he's busy microwaving this. I'm not sure. These guys chilling out at the front, and everything looks pretty normal again in the Terran base. But in general, the factory is fine, but more normal to have 2 racks, because why wouldn't you? Marines are cheap, and you've certainly got plenty of money. I'd like to see an orbital. I'd like to see another barracks, but an expand coming down at a perfectly reasonable time to expand. So everything looking pretty normal here as well. Factory is finished up, so I expect we'll see a Stargate not far behind that. Here come the pylons. Really? So finally the pylons in the side core are here. So now we'll see some tech, hopefully, from the Protoss player. Once that side core's finished, we'll get a glimpse of what they've got in mind. It is going to be Stargate, and why not? Stargates are good. Sky Toss works well. It works well against roughly everything, so why not? It's quite the pylon spread. No sign of a supply block for a while then. A single Stargate coming down, and presumably we're going to see an Oracle out of that first. That would be pretty standard against Terran. If you were going to commit hard to Phoenix, then maybe you would just go straight into Phoenix production. But I don't know that that's what we're going to see. I've not seen Luke play Phoenix before. Triple starport. Now this feels very much like a reaction to the last game, but this is not the last game. This is a whole different game. So, I'm not sure about this. If I'd scouted and I knew that my opponent was playing a similar build to what they did previously, I'd say, yeah, do this. They went Colossus heavy. Crank out those Vikings. Vikings are great. But have you scouted, Goose? Let's have a look. You know literally nothing about what your opponent's tech choice is, and so Vikings as a kind of blind tech choice, I'm less convinced of. They are fantastic against Colossus. The Viking is a versatile unit and it's underused by a lot of Terrans. You can use it for just air dominance. It's got a fantastic range. It's reasonably good against Void Rays, so long as you micro it a bit. If the Void Rays are in range, get within range, they will slay your Vikings quickly. But Vikings have got such a long range, you know, you can take pot shots at the Void Rays and pull back, and it's great. You can land them in mineral lines and they will shred a mineral line pretty quickly. I mean, Vikings are useless on the ground. They're terrible ground units. But against workers, they will suffice. So it's a versatile unit to be sure, but I think before I built 3 starports, I'd have wanted to just confirm that I am going to be up against Colossus, because otherwise I'm not so sure that Vikings are what you would necessarily choose. So it looks like it's going to be Void Rays. This one building a Void Ray, these 2 waiting for gas. It looks like waiting for gas. Yeah, let's just check the incomes. Reasonably robust, but a little bit of a lead for Luke. Yeah, but the gas income isn't quite high enough to support Void Ray production off 3 Stargates. Well, I mean, it could if that's all you're building, but that wouldn't leave you any wiggle room for upgrades or for anything out of the Robo or for anything other than Zealots. So, you know, maybe you're fine with that, maybe not. This, however, is a little upsetting, isn't it? Right, what's going on? This is what's going on. How did that get there? What the hell? How do I miss stuff like this, man? I blame it on the bad reflections in bows. Like, you get weird like light reflections over on this side of the screen. I'm sure I wouldn't have missed that sitting at home. And you sit to one side and the screen's massive. I've got to move my head to see the mini-map, and that's not right. Yeah, whereas at home, you know, I sit about 5 inches away from an enormous monitor, so anything on the mini-map takes up most of my left eye. Right, good. Stuff's happening. Robo Bay, Gateway, things. These 3 Stargates are beginning to feel a bit like, why did you build those to build like 2 Void Rays that actually both came out of just the one? Odd question. You know, why do that? I don't know. I don't know the answer to questions like that. Only Luke knows the answer. Luke, any input?
I misclicked a couple of times.
You misclicked. Right, okay. Now, there's an awful lot of minerals in the bank here for Luke. And, you know, if you find yourself thinking, I've got a lot of minerals, but I don't have the gas, well, there's a fix to that. Just drop a Nexus here, drop a Nexus here. It'll only cost you 1,000 to drop 2 Nexus and 4 gas, and just mine gas from them. Just sort this out. Yeah, good. So the Robo is here, so maybe we are going to see Colossus after all. And if we do, those are going to be some very sorry Colossus, because these Vikings are getting up to terrifying numbers. Now, I'm sure I saw a Banshee cloak being researched at some point. Is there a Banshee on this map? Is there?
In the supply line.
Right. Curious place to keep it. In your own kind of... I'd much rather it was in your opponent's mineral line, but anyway, so the Vikings are moving out, just looking for a fight. Look at them. They're like a sort of group of, I don't know, thugs or something, just henching their way across the map, itching for a fight here. Are they going to find one? Not over here so much. These Void Rays, you know, those will vanish to that many Vikings pretty quickly. So there is a golden opportunity here for Goose to simply win this game. Because actually, army-wise, none of this shoots up. 5 Void Rays now. That triple Void Ray production is really handy, actually, as it turns out. Maybe Clairvoyance led Luke to build these. Anyway, we are now at a number of Void Rays that can start to take this on. So it's amazing how quickly that changed. Has Goose missed an opportunity to get in and just wreak havoc? I don't know. Are there more Vikings being made at home? No, because he's supply blocked. Yes, there are. Excellent. Are there upgrades for these Vikings? There are not. So you committed hard to Vikings, but you didn't bother to upgrade them, and I don't know about that. You know, almost 10 minutes in, I want there to be some upgrades. That's what I want. I want all sorts of things, to be honest. A lot of it's just unrealistic. Anyway, I'd like more gas as well, please. Look, it's all happening. The Vikings land and they wreck this. That is a lot of dead workers. There's stuff coming. Take off, run. Not just you, your mates as well. The last thing you want to be doing is fighting on the ground. Look at all this stuff. All of that kills you. So the Void Rays, you know, look how good this is. These Vikings just shred the Void Rays. And what is there left? Kill the Void Ray. It's the only one that can shoot you. What is there left? There's nothing. Oh, there's more Void Rays. Shame. So the Vikings are going to fall to these Void Rays. But, you know, you should be bolstered by that. You've done a serious amount of damage. So you've heavily suppressed that income. Unfortunately, yeah, that is not the target, is it? That is not the target of choice. This Banshee needs to be killing something more than that. You know, what should you kill with the Banshee? What would you be killing? Maybe this pylon and this one to just depower these. That would be more fun. But this random pylon, oh, I'm going to supply block you something shocking. That's what he's thinking. You know, you're not going to like this. I'm going to supply block you up a treat. But, you know, look, he doesn't care. Look, he's got loads of supply. He's just lost 27 workers or something. You're not going to supply block him. Yeah, kill workers. Just workers. Banshees are great at killing workers. Let's see how the Banshee does at killing these workers. Watch it go. There's one. And again. See? Brilliant. So, decloaks. There is an observer on the map now. So, kind of, you don't really, not much point in cloaking. But you do need to run. Run quite fast. Because once the observer gets here, the Void Rays are just going to incinerate this, and it really won't take long. Or they're not. What's happening? Are they out of range, really? We're just like looking at it. Just, is that a Banshee over there? Yeah. What's it doing? It's killing our workers. Right. We should probably go over there. Do you think? Let's go in a minute. I'm finishing my lunch. Is this enough Vikings to kill these Void Rays? I think it is. The Void Rays, I don't think, have any upgrades, but they're not going to bother. Did they see them? I don't. Yeah, to be fair, I don't think they saw each other. I think they were just out of range. Just. So these Void Rays could actually get something done, and they need to, because look at this. That is gnarly, isn't it? What is the income tab looking like? Painful. Yeah, run quite fast. That's not the place you want to be having a poke at, is it? All them Marines. So the Vikings are going to come in here and potentially get something done. He's turning around. I'm not sure why, because the Vikings landing here could have mopped up another mineral line, and that would have been pleasing. So with Focus Fire, these Vikings definitely win this fight. But, you know, Focus Fire is the key here. So you want to be right-clicking the Void Rays one at a time as the most sort of cost-efficient and effective way to kill stuff. The problem with these Vikings are brilliant, but they can't fight this stuff. They don't shoot ground. And yeah, okay, you can land them, but will you see how quickly these die to proper ground units? You know, Immortal's probably one-shot a Viking or something like that. You don't, you know, this is horrible. It's horrible. Nobody wants to see Vikings fight on the ground. So, you know, the key mistake here, if you look at the size of this bank, while the Vikings were working out really well, what he wasn't doing is holding down the A button. This barracks has stood idle. And, you know, now where's he at? He's got a Protoss army chopping up his base. He's got these two Banshees that, you know, admittedly will eventually clean this up. I don't like that they're killing this. I'd have preferred them to be killing the command center. But anyway, this is kind of, it's eye for eye, isn't it? So, if we look at the workers killed, you know, 20 workers dead in the Terran base, 30 workers dead in the Protoss base. It's a bloodbath, isn't it? It's a bloodbath. Oh, that stings. 13-14 minutes in and your income is almost nothing. You know, you're trying to wring the last minerals out of here. This is deeply unpleasant. So, you know, that just, it kind of shouldn't have happened when you had 4,000 in the bank. One of the key sort of advantages to Terran is Marines, you know, they're cheap, they only cost minerals, no gas whatsoever, and they're incredibly versatile. So no matter what tech you're going for, it's almost churlish not to turn your surplus minerals into just rafts of Marines. And you can use them disposably. You can just chuck them away to snipe things. You can drop them into a base and just, you know, hit stim and focus down a nexus. And if the 16 Marines die, who cares? It's fine. because you're probably gas blocked. Now, this many Vikings doesn't seem like that many, but there aren't very many Void Rays at home, but they are cranking out several at a time here. 3 more Void Rays about to join the fray, so we're gonna have a fairly substantial air force for the Protoss, still with no upgrades, but you know, pound for pound, Void Ray beats a Viking, doesn't it? So this many Vikings is not going to win against that many Void Rays. So this time, Goose potentially, definitely can't stand and fight. It looks like he's just going to mop up this mineral line, and that is a good decision. But the problem is when the Void Rays arrive, can he get out of here with his life? Standing and fighting is not going to go well. These melt just really quickly, the prismatic alignment, etc. The Observer is there too, so this Banshee with 7 kills is finally going to go down. So let's take stock. The income for Luke is still really quite robust. This is fully saturated. This is also saturated. So while he killed some workers in the main, it hasn't really, it hasn't flattened his opponent's income whatsoever. Meanwhile, while that's happening, what he hasn't done is sorted this out. He lost all of these workers. He's got 15 extra workers parked here, just trying to squeeze this mineral patch, of which there are 50 minerals remaining, and that's suicide. Finally, we've built some of these. I'd love to see a couple of Liberators come out as well, because you know your opponent's ground army was largely things that don't shoot up, and Liberators do substantially better than Vikings when it comes to shooting things on the ground. Now this is a lot of Vikings. If he focuses down these Void Rays, he should be able to churn through them pretty quickly. But the problem is, you know, Luke has an income. He can just continue to do this over and over again. He can just send wave after wave of units in, the Void Rays in, the Zealots in, and just keep chipping away at his opponent. And Goose cannot afford to keep up. Look, he's mined out completely. So we've now got all of these workers standing idle. He's got literally 0 income. That's nasty. So it's hard to see a way back from here. He needs to lift this off really and plant it down here so that he can get these workers mining again, because he desperately needs an income. But you know, while he's holding a stash of money, you know, there's still things he can do. He is building Marines, and that's something. It might be time to give up on the Vikings, I'm not sure. These Widow Mines can be really, really useful, but it's hard to get them into the right position, because you know, you don't burrowing them in advance, you're just kind of hoping that your opponent accidentally wanders over them, and that's unlikely. So really you want to keep them with your army unburrowed, and then as your opponent comes forward, you burrow the Widow Mines and you retreat, drawing your opponent's army over the Widow Mines. But there's only 2 of them, and that won't kill Void Rays, you know, that'll take the shields off them, etc. Look, marine production has stopped. You're still holding 1,000 minerals. Marine production stopped. These guys are still idle. I don't know why he isn't mining from here. Like, even if you were just long distance mining, at least you'd have an income stream. Lift this up, please. Build some gas geysers, please. Oh no, it's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, army-wise, the Protoss is rapidly spiraling out of control. This is soon going to be a very substantial number of Void Rays. They're still coming out in, you know, from all of these Stargates. Yeah, choosing not to build from all of them simultaneously, but no matter. You know, if he goes across the map right now with this, he just wins. That's it. The game's over. What army is there for Goose? Let's have a look. 26 army supply. What is it in the form of? We've got 14 Marines and 4 Vikings. You know, these Void Rays on their own will do a pretty tidy job of that. But with the Zealots, you know, the meat shield in front to absorb the Marine fire, this army just wins. So an A-click across the map. Luke should at this point know that he did very serious damage to the Terran economy, and especially this getting confirmation that this base has only just finished up and that there isn't a mining base here. You know, that should be the cue to, right, let's march across the map. So finally the man flies out and lands, and we see the gases at last being built so we can rectify this problem. I don't think it's going to matter at all. Weird place to expand. Yeah, okay, just disconnect me already. But anyway, none of this matters. Look, this is a terminal number of void rays right here, isn't it? So I'm just going to speed it up because this feels very much like we're just waiting for the end, doesn't it? Unless Goose does something radical, like drop 5 more racks and crank out Marines, for example. Please. This game's just going to end, you know, whenever Luke decides that, you know, once they fill the screen, it's probably enough void rays. It's making me feel slightly seasick. Hello. That's how many void rays there are. Now, you know, that's enough. Ah! Sorry, that was a bit terrifying, that zoomed in, isn't it? So let's not do that. Those are some high-speed zealots, aren't they? These zealots are they're like charge zealots, only they're not. So, you know, look at that. They take a Widowmind to the face and they don't even care. That's how tough zealots are. And the Vikings land, but as I said earlier, it's horrible watching Vikings land, isn't it? Against anything but workers. So, there it is. GG, and Luke wins 2-1, I believe. There you go. Beast. GG.